This man is one of the most hated persons in Nigeria right now, simply because he used to be a pastor, but right now he doesn't believe that God exists anymore. And a lot of Christians are hating him for making a decision like this. This is his story.
If you look at the story of creation, how God created man, it doesn't add up. When I was a pastor, I saw hell. I tell you, church business, to be honest with you, Mr. Lucky, is the most corrupt business in Nigeria. Go to any of these big churches. Look at the altar. You see a whole lot of young people seated there. Most of them will never climb the big altar to handle microphone to say, praise God. You know why?
So I can't believe you were once a pastor. What exactly happened to you? Why don't you believe that God exists anymore?
Yeah, it's a long story. I was a pastor for 20 years. Cumulatively, I had pastored in different churches and denominations. I think we should take a walk because the story is long. We can't just sit here and just keep talking. I had pastored in Assemblies of God, and we are part of those that pioneered the Assemblies of God in Lantan North, Pigani, and also I had pastored in Glorious Church Assembly. We had our branch here in FCT, and also from there I pastored in Dunamis Church. Cumulatively 10 years within Dunamis Church.
What exactly happened to you? You were a pastor for 20 years. Yeah. What did you experience that make you stop believing that God does not exist?
Yes, a lot. Of course, reading the Bible, I saw a whole lot of story that never added up. And beside the story in the Bible, personal experience.
Can you tell us some of those stories you saw in the Bible that didn't make sense to you, that made you believe that God does not exist?
Okay, if you look at the story of creation, how God created man, it doesn't add up. Like we are talking behind the camera, if God created man, who created God? And if you look at the whole narrative on how God had to kill some people because they offended him or they offended his people, all of that doesn't show love and empathy. So for me, and if you look at that also, like I always tell people, the story that happened in the Bible is just within the Bible. We couldn't see that experience out of the Bible. If you talk about love, only within the pages of the Bible. When I was a pastor, I saw hell. I saw hell among pastors. How do you feel when a pastor that is a colleague will come pick one of your staff? I had a school then. Let me tell you a story. I had set up a school under a denomination, and the head of the school was doing so well. And the next thing, I saw this young man missing. He wasn't stable. I'll go to his office or send for him. He won't be there. And the next thing I noticed, he was with a colleague pastor serving under him. Like, what happened? I had to find out, and they were doing that secretly. The next question is, how do we do all of this for God, and you are picking up my staff without my consent, and you are too comfortable, all in the name of God? And when I confronted him, it was like, you see, I needed him and all of that. It was when they came for personal investigation, like trying to understudy our school. That was when I even introduced the young man to them, him and his wife.
If I'm understanding what you said, a pastor stole your stuff.
Yeah, he stole my stuff. Like when you see someone that is very good, it's just like you are doing this job and somebody came to your office. You say, oh, meet my cameraman, meet my editor, and the next thing, your editor is no more in the office. The next thing, you saw your editor in the person's office. So the concept of when you talk about real life, real love, real humanity, I couldn't see it in church. I will tell you a story. A pastor lost his wife. And we never knew. It was my ex-wife that drew my attention early hours of the morning, I think around 4 a.m. She told me that, are you aware that this pastor lost his wife? Because somebody posted it on Facebook. And I was like, wow. I went to our WhatsApp group where all the pastors are, and I said, who can confirm this story? A pastor lost his wife. Let's know so that we can commiserate with the pastor. And empathy. Nobody talked about it. They ignored it. I was like, wow. They were still writing, typing other things. And I came hard on them. I said, look, I know that people will not talk about it because you don't talk about death here. But it is unfortunate that we are in a place where we cannot celebrate people when they have died. So that was when everybody rose up. Oh, why are you talking like that? Why are you talking? And I said, the pastor that happened under him should apologize to us. They were so angry. How old are you? When did you come into ministry? When did you come into that ministry? And I told them it is not of that. It is doing what is right. So at one point, they put me out of that WhatsApp group. They removed me out of the WhatsApp group. And later they brought me out in, and the pastor apologized. and told us about the role he played. I said, yes, the pastor is a pastor of the whole denomination, not just your location. So you should be able to tell everybody. Do you know what they did later? One time, they started planning against me that I am very forward and they should deal with me. First, we had a pastor's meeting. They asked me to apologize to everybody, which I did. I thought after apology, it would be forgiven and forgotten. Do you know, when I had another problem, again, we'll talk about that. Do you know that was the same pastor that was posted to my location to replace me? When I saw that, I even had to make an open letter to these pastors responsible, because they had this clique of pastors that if you are posted to a location, you have to host them, invite them, you have to recognize them. If not, nothing for you. And if you want to be posted to a juicy place, you have to tip off here and there. You have to. So I tell you, church business, to be honest with you, Mr. Lucky, is the most corrupt business in Nigeria. You may not know because you are an outsider. When you go to church on Sunday, you just see flashy things. But behind the scene, terrible. For if you see some of these pastors that are struggling, it's not because they want to struggle. There are people that determine where you are posted to. You have to be loyal to either Oga at the top, or the wife, or to the admin. They don't think about your capacity, whether you are doing the right job or not. So, Mr. Lucky,
we are going to now go to a second chapter.
Okay.
Because this full video is going to be uploaded on YouTube, but we are going to do it in chapters and chapters, and the rest will be posted across social media. Now let's talk about corruption. You believe that there's corruption in the body of Christ. Sir, you used to be a pastor and you served for more than 20 years, but now you no longer believe God exists. And you said something that there's corruption in Christianity. Can you tell the viewers what you mean by that?
Yes, a whole lot. As a matter of fact, I think the politicians learned corruption from the church. Now, of course, people go to church on Sunday and maybe on weekdays and midweek services, so they don't really know what happened behind the scene. A lot happened behind the scene. A lot. Some of these pastors you see go through a lot. Some of them, their children, they can't pay children's school fees. Some of them can't even own personal property. Some of them can't even feed. But you see, when they come to church, they smile. And you see, when you see your pastor wearing new suit, find out some are even borrowed suit. They borrow to wear them, especially location pastors. You see, the big GOs, they control the money bag. Especially when you hear them say, I am not on salary in this church. Nobody can pay me. But they place orders on salary. You know that? If you are not on salary, it means that whatever comes in, you can't mark it. There's no benchmark. But you place orders on salary. Let me give you a story. There is this pastor that died while I was serving. This pastor had leg ulcer that could be treated, because the church involved had money. They have money. But this guy was ignored until this guy died. There's a pastor currently that is losing his sight. He was pastoring a big location. When the sight thing started, they had to be praying for him. But these pastors, the GOs, they travel abroad for medical. When they tell you they are going for crusade, forget. It's not all about crusade. There's always a medical behind the scene that happened. Do you know this pastor? At one point, he couldn't read the Bible anymore. So what they did was they recalled him back to headquarters and just kept him there. He's practically losing his sight. I can go on and on. Let me tell you, there's a pastor right now in the case. He took them to industrial court, but they asked him they should settle out of court. After he served them for years, they sacked him without any payment. Normal, disengagement package, they never gave him. He had to sue them. And then I came up, I think when he sent the detail to me, I felt like crying. I think about 400 and something thousand. Somebody that served close to over 10 years, 400 and something thousand. And there was another pastor that left. He had musical equipment in his house. They had to invade his house, moved all the... And the church I'm talking about is a big church. It's a big church. The GO is living large, but if you look at the location pastors, you pity them. And you see, they can't talk. You know how it is in Nigeria, survival of the fittest.
You said something about posting of pastors, that there's a corruption and there's a brain behind it that people don't understand. Yeah. What do you mean by that?
You see, posting in churches, now you have to be very close to mommy, not even daddy. Because mommy, most times, if you look at these churches, the mommy acts as the admin. And especially when you look, especially the Pentecostal pastors. I remember a pastor cried to me, he said, they posted me out from my location to another location for doing nothing. And when I tried to find out, the admin told me that when last did you buy a suit for me? That is, this same admin is a big guy. He has money. But this same admin and is putting location pastor under pressure. When last did you buy me a suit? So if you want to be posted to a juicy location, all you need to do is make sure you are servicing admin and make sure you are servicing most of the big, among the pastors, there are other bigger pastors. There are other bigger pastors, like the regional pastors. You have to service them very well. Treat them like egg. If not, posting time, they will shock you. They will post you either to one village.
This man believes that there's serious corruption in the church. That when you see a pastor being posted to another location, that there's something behind it a lot of people don't know. Sir, can you tell us about it?
A whole lot. You see, like when you see pastors being posted to a juicy location, most of them may not even have the capacity for these locations. But what they do is they service either the admin or the mommy in the Lord or the dad in the Lord. You see this high level of hypocrisy. They have to take good care of them. When posting is drawing close, let me give you an instance. There was a pastor that was posted abroad, UK, and a big church, posted him there, and he started having problem with the mommy, the mommy in the Lord, Gio's wife. The next thing, they had to redeploy him, because you see, it is not by merit. It is how close you are, how loyal, and how you service the admin. Let me give you another instance. There was a pastor that was in a location, qualified for posting, ready. If you see him, he can preach and dissect the Bible, but he will be granted there except he's loyal. And you know what they'll tell you? That you have not drank the spirit of the commission, the unction of the commission. So that is the terminology they use to keep you. And if you want to get out, let me tell you, go to any of these big churches. Look at the altar. You see a whole lot of young people seated there. Most of them will never climb the big altar to handle microphone to say praise God. You know why? The mommy and the daddy, the admin, they determine who climbed there, who say what on that platform. And there are testimonies. And that's why when you look at church, is practically a business. Jesus is no more promoted. It is a personal business. I remember when I was a pastor, when you are coordinating either like testimony, you have to make reference to when daddy said this, when daddy said that. And if you are not doing it right, my brother, nothing for you. So most of these criteria they use for posting. And that's why if you look at what is happening, they do what they call, there's what we call crumbology. They have to pulling down syndrome. They have to pull somebody down, blackmail. This person is not. Do you know, as a pastor, when I was a pastor, you can be preaching in your church. There are spies in that church that send information to the headquarters, reporting you for maybe even an offense that you never committed. And do you know, Geo will act on it. Geo will act on it. You'll be shocked that they will deploy you back to headquarters. And you're like, what did I do? What is my offense? So,
sir, what you just said right now reminded me of a story that happened. There's a pastor, young guy, that was posted to go serve a branch in Port Harcourt. He was doing so well. Members were trooping into the church. People started hearing his name left and right. He was growing on social media. Politicians were trooping in. All kinds of people were trooping in to his church. And I think that the head pastor then removed him from that place and sent him abroad. And a lot of people thought that maybe that was God lifting him up from Nigeria to abroad. But then there were some people that felt that was a strategic move. You understand me? Because the young guy was growing so fast. You understand me? Because what you are saying right now reminded me of that story. And it's making me think if, maybe, I really don't know. These are moves that certain people make to make sure that nobody under them grows above them.
Absolutely. Do you know sometimes, like I said, when you see all this game happening, the behind the scenes is more terrible, more chaotic. Like we were talking about the abroad thing. I remember a pastor that was doing so well. He went to this virgin land, started preaching, equipment, and especially when you are in a state capital, maybe the state governor address you as daddy in the Lord. The big GO will begin to feel threatened because he's seeing your pictures, images on social media. The next thing is to recall you, or the next thing, like, do you know that one time when I was a pastor, we used to have our banner and our billboard, and the GO told us that from today, nobody should use his picture or his wife's picture on the billboard. It should be his picture. That is, anywhere you are, use daddy's picture. And he will tell you the unction of the commission is one. And when he's talking about this unction of the commission, he's not talking about Jesus Christ. It's not talking about the biblical standard. It's talking about the dogma of the church that you must uphold. Do you even know that there are locations that they don't preach on Sunday? The pastors just sit and watch television. The pastors are just figurehead. They don't do nothing. All they do is, when the GO is controlling, like from the headquarters, if they say stand, he will make the members to stand. The pastors don't preach message of their own. Do you know, I can even show you from my email. There are, every Saturday or Friday evening, they send you messages that you must preach. If you go outside of these messages, you're on your own. They have spies. I don't know how they do that thing. They have people there that will report you directly to daddy. And the worst will happen when daddy said you should connect live. And you decide to preach. Maybe there was a network glitch. You say, okay, instead of struggling with the ditch or maybe weather, let me preach, Mr. Lucky. If care is not taken, they'll return you back to the base. So the church thing, if you see the process, how young people are being destroyed. When I mean destroyed, they have to teach you how to lobby. How to lobby. You literally, do you know, like when I was a pastor, for instance, the offering you collect, tithe and offering, there are two major things that are important to the GO. Your offering and the attendance. So he will warn you as you are dropping microphone, as the church is closing, send as a test to the account department and the counting department the number of the church, the number of the members that came, and the offering. The pastor at that location have no right. Do you know what they do? They send external accountant and external auditor to the location, employed from headquarters. So the pastor there is just there. If the pastor is sick, child is sick, he has to apply and follow rigorous procedure. And that is why, if you want to really know how it is, what these location pastors are going, go visit them. Or maybe become a friend, befriend them, and hear stories. Sometimes you feel like crying. Some of them cannot even afford 100,000. And there was this pastor, maybe I need to call his name to appreciate him. Ibiomi, the guy in Port Harcourt. Of course, like I said, I'm an irreligious person, but when I see good things, I still appreciate them. Do you know this guy built houses for his pastors? Pastors that maybe have done 10 years and all of that. When I saw that, I said, wow. But do you know that there are big churches in Nigeria? Pastor has private jet flying everywhere. If you see their pastors, they are not being paid up to 50,000 naira.
A month.
A month. See, they can't even cater for themselves. They can't buy. What they do is, because daddy at the base is dressing so well, you at the location, you must dress so well. So what they do, they have to buy things on credit. They survive on credit. You won't know, because they have to look good. If you don't look good, they'll tell you that you are not reflecting the unction at the base. The same daddy at the base, he will never help you. Let me tell you something. The daddy at the base, one time we came for our pastor's meeting, and this big Jew went and brought all his old clothes, old retarded suit coats, and started sharing them for us. That is a mantle. It's a mantle. He won't give you new clothes, old clothes. It's a man to go wear them. And you see, as ignorant as we were happy celebrating them as mantle. These pastors, sometimes we come for pastors' meeting, even to go home, how to go back, then we struggle. Because they will tell you that if your location cannot cater for you, forget it. How do you even, I want you to, let's be logical. How do you, as a location and headquarter, location will be servicing the headquarter instead of headquarter servicing the location? How? A location that have 100 members, a location that have 500 members, and you see, if you go to most of these suburb and rural area, most of them don't have financial capacity. The pastor literally had to manage everything that is happening. This location that don't have the money, but headquarters will place demand on them all the times. So, my brother, man, if you see what pastors are going through, and that's why you see a whole lot of them breaking away. Yesterday, somebody sent me a picture of one. I don't know what will become of that one, because he broke what happened to him was, where he was pastoring, he was doing so well. The next thing, they recalled him back to headquarters. Now he resigned and took one of the plaza in that vicinity and started his own. So I have a whole lot of intel among all these people. So the intel told me that they are planning to arrest him. So what?
Wait, I'm trying to understand. He used to pastor somewhere in a plaza.
Yeah, the church had a particular plaza they were using. So he was doing so well. I don't know what happened. They recalled him back to headquarters. And he knew the consequences. So what he did was he resigned and went back to the same community, the same area, and took one of the plaza.
And opened his own church.
Opened his own church. Now the headquarters now, where he was before, they are planning to arrest him with police. Let me tell you, Mr. Lucky, what they have done now is to use, most of these pastors are being bullied by EFCC, by DSS, and by police. When the GO noticed that, oh, maybe the money you have, they monitor the account. They monitor the account. One recently had an issue. I tried to see how I could step in, but, you know, he became very scared. I had to withdraw because sometimes you can't cry more than the bereaved. You can't. Most time we put ourselves on the line. We are hated. They see us like enemy. But I told them, one pastor told me one time, say, Abraham, thank you so much. Before now, I never knew that what we were saying, we were right. They took him to one of these African countries to pastor a church. He was doing so well. He pioneered that place, set up the church.
From scratch.
I said from zero ground. Now, when the church stabilized, they pull him from there to another place. He set up that place. They removed him again and started putting their people. When he discovered that over,
what do you mean by putting their people?
The people that are loyal, because the guy is not a Nigerian. The guy is not a Nigerian. And he's from one of these French-speaking area. So what they did was, they sent him like, for this time, maybe Cameroon and all of that. So the next thing was he had to resign and start his own. And he said he wasted his time. The GO, they are the owner of the church, not Jesus Christ. So there's no way, if you understand how the church is run, there's no way you claim to be a Christian comfortably. No way. No way. You can't. And somebody will tell you, well, you see, it's the work of God. Look up to Jesus. And I will ask them, have you ever seen Jesus? Have you ever seen Jesus? Even Jesus said, the person you see, the person you see day to day is your Jesus. So these pastors, the game they are playing, the politics they are playing, maybe we'll talk about submission.
Alright guys, so if you want to watch the full video, go to YouTube right now, search the Lucky Udo Experience, and you'll be able to see the full interview with this man. Sir, you were a pastor for more than 20 years, and you say that there's corruption in the body of Christ. What are some of the strict rules that general overseers set for ordinary pastors to follow that make it very difficult for them to survive?
Yeah, Mr. Lucky, so terrible. One of the major rules they set for them is what they tag submission. It looks so simple, but if you understand their submission is terrible. For instance, if you are a location pastor, they will tell you must drink the unction of the commission. The unction of the commission means you may literally look like the GO. Hairstyle, the way he talks, his mannerisms, the way he dances, everything about him. So you have to begin to copy. You have to literally dancing steps, everything. Even if you have a bar head and your GO wears punk, you have to begin to see how you can manage your bar head with punk. Now, after that point, the next thing is what they call connecting to the unction of the commission. When I tell you connecting to the unction of the commission, it's money. It's money. These location pastors, they will tell you, the GO will tell you there must be an allocation from yourself, from your salary that you give to your GO every end of the month. If you are not submitting well, I tell you, they'll tell you that you have not drank the unction so well. The next thing, they will redeploy you.
Wait, how much salary do these pastors earn?
Oh, if I tell you some do not even pay up to minimum wage. Recently, one sent me, but when I was a pastor, the salary I was earning was, of course, based on how long you have stayed and your experience. I was earning, I think, about over 100,000. Now that
per month.
Over that 100,000.
There are other benefits.
Housing. Sometimes they give you 60%. They don't pay. It's not whole. You have to.
Okay, they pay 60% of your accommodation.
Or they will go rent a place for you and tell you should make do with it, even if the place is not comfortable. And you know how it is. You literally preach every day. If you are not preaching, you are canceling. If you are not canceling, you are going to headquarters. Or if you are not going to headquarters, you are trying to. And of course, you have the responsibility to multiply. You have to build branches, locations. So what you do is, as you are there, you have to be servicing GO. Let me tell you a story. One day, one of my colleague pastor called me, said, "Oh, there's a new revelation." I said, "What is the revelation?" He said, "Do you know that your tithe and offering is not meant to be paid to the church? It should be given to your GO." That one of our pastor packaged his tithe and offering, and he looked for scripture that justified it, paying to the priest, and he took it to the GO and gave it to the GO. So he said that is a new. So what he does is that he will return back all his staff, his assistant pastors, everybody there, we pay tithe to him. So it means if a church member meets me on the road and give me his or her tithe, it's for me. I'm the priest. So from there, he will remove 10% and pay to you. When I heard that, I said, wow. But you see, if you know the game that is played, and these location pastors have to survive. They have to survive. If you don't, there are churches that give them a timeline. For instance, if you are posted to a location, they'll tell you within 3 months, you should have 500 members. If you don't hit that 500 members, the next thing they redeploy you or they sack you. If you remember, there was a time there was an outburst from a particular church because they sacked their pastors. So they hire pastors and they sack pastors. Let me tell you one major thing that bothered me. If you read about Jesus Christ, when I read about Jesus, I read about his life and how his transition in terms of ministry. Who was his next of kin? Peter. And was Peter related with him, Mr. Lucky? Peter was not related with him either by blood or anything. He transferred the mantle of leadership to Peter because Peter earned it. But do you know that these pastors you see arrange their wives, arrange their children? There's nothing about Holy Spirit leading me. They as they are thinking of who become the next person to take over, is either their wife or their children. So you claim that, you are serving daddy, you are serving Jesus Christ, you are wasting your time. Because at the end of the day, they will just push you away quietly. And if you want to talk, you see, the painful thing is, if you want to talk, the members will begin to attack you. And that's what they do. They will begin to demonize you, call you names, that you are a rebel, you are not submissive. And the next thing, people will begin to hate you. They group hate. Let me tell you a story. Some years ago, when I was a pastor, there was a pastor that was pastoring with us that resigned. And I'm into production. When I'm in production, I was producing the person's messages. So this pastor knew me as someone that can set up production. So he invited me to his state to help him. Mind you, he was not a pastor under us. But I went during holiday, my own time. So when I got to the state, I said, let me branch and say hi to our own denomination. I branched there, greeted the resident pastor, and left to that place because I didn't know the place. I asked my friend that was the assistant pastor there to direct me. Do you know that before I could get to that pastor's place, the resident pastor I met had called my GO and reported me that I am here in the state to work for another person that is not submitting under us. As I was there, the admin had called me, say, where are you? I said, it was during December, it's my holiday, and it's my free time, and I'm doing it for money because the man was to pay me. He said I should return back to Abuja immediately. Do you know when I came back, the GO kept malice with me. When I mean malice, the GO usually, I used to be in custodian of his phone, his gadget, his iPad, iPod. I used to put things for him. Instead of him reaching out to me, he would send his PA. And sometimes they will make mistake, but he will never. One day he called me, say, Abraham, you know why I refuse to talk with you? I say, yes. I say, I know, because I had already had the hints, because I went to see this other pastor that left him. He said, the enemy of your father is your enemy. I will never forget that statement in my life. So if your father in the Lord hates somebody, you must hate somebody. If you are not hating that person, you are not submissive enough. Like since I left, if I tell you the hatred, they literally like, and you ask them, what did I do? They don't nothing. But because you don't like my daddy or my daddy in the Lord do not like you, we hate you. And they will use hateful words that they wish you die, so that it will validate that because you left the cover, things are not going well with you. Mr. Lucky, there are things I shouldn't share with you because some Christians will, but it's the truth. They can go very far. Let me tell you, when you leave most of this denomination, you know what they do? They make sure they frustrate you so that they will tell their members that since you left, you are frustrated. I remember when I was a pastor, a particular pastor resigned, and they were struggling to pay house rent. The wife came around. What the GO does is that anytime you sent him a text, sir, please, could you help us? We need house rent. He will tell you, meet me after the service. So after the service, there's a passage where we pastors, we come together to pray. He will ask you to sit there. So all of us will see you, will greet you. How you doing, madam? How you doing? Oh God, the children say fine. At the end of the day, he will meet with you. Maybe he will give you the money, or maybe part. If you leave, he will tell you, you see that person that came to collect house rent. You see, they left the cover, and that's why they are struggling. So you are in that commission, who born you to leave that cover? So the perception is that if you leave the cover, you will struggle. And that's why people like us, we are hated, because the narrative is that whatever bad that happened to us is because we left the cover. Like I told you, my divorce happened. And, to be honest with you, they sponsored it. And at the end of the day, they will tell you, this guy, he left the cover, he is divorced, he can't keep his children, he can't manage his home. Behind the scene, they managed it. They destroy your home and make you feel like you're a failure.
And that's something we are going to talk about. His experience after he stopped being a pastor and he started following his idea that God doesn't exist. We are going to come to that, and we are going to let you guys understand the reason why he came to that conclusion and how we can help this young man. You see, the purpose of documenting this is not to influence other people to agree that God doesn't exist. I know some of you have come to the point in your life where you are worried. You are thinking, how was this world created? If they say God created this world, who created God? Some of you have thought beyond your comprehension, and people have advised you to stop thinking, that you should just live your life. Please tag your pastor to this video, okay? I want Christians to see somebody who served for 20 years. He no longer believes. Are we going to rebuke him? Are we going to push him away? Or are we going to use love, to bring him close and understand his plight, what went wrong, and how he can come back? If you believe that your pastor is a generous man who understands the things of the Lord, please tag him to this video if you are confident, because I believe that somebody needs to talk to him. I know I'm documenting your story, but before I came out here, I prayed to God, because I believe in him. I don't know what you have experienced, and I'm not here to judge you, but I want you to know that God understands. He sees everything. He sees your pain. And even if in this moment you are ignorant, I believe that the grace of the Lord is already filling that emptiness. It will be well with you. I know there are people who wish that someone like this maybe ends up in hell for not believing. But you have to understand that life is different for everybody. Some people have gone through this life and all they've ever known is pain, rejection, confusion. They don't understand why. But we have to understand that the grace of the Lord is enough for every one of us. This world was not just designed for you and your family alone. The love of God is sufficient for every one of us, even those that have left, just like the prodigal son in the Bible. I hope you see something that will bring you back to God.
I don't know how possible that may look.
Go back to that. For now, guys, let's go on a break. So a lot of people don't like you because you believe that God does not exist after serving as a pastor for more than 20 years. What happened to your life after you made this decision to stop being a pastor?
Okay, to start with, what happened? The first thing I was greeted with was divorce. And I got married at the age of 24. As a young chap, I so much love family. So I felt family is everything. So I married early and I built my wealth around my family. I got my first child the next year, and I met, the lady I met. Let me shock you. I married as a virgin. As a young boy, of course, I was very conservative, that church boy. I married as a virgin. My ex was not a virgin, but I love her. And she had a very, painful story. And I told her something because she never knew her dad. She grew up with her uncles, that some of them brutalized her. So I told her, look, I could be that dad you never had, and you could be that mommy we ever have. And from there, we started building a home. For 15 years, we built that home. Of course, marriage has ups and downs. But it was when I resigned, my ex-wife, the next thing she changed. Of course, I understand, because when I was a pastor, I was living in a duplex. She had a car, I had my own car, and we had, house assistant here and there. But when I resigned, of course, I had to let go of everything. She still retained her car. And one day, when I resigned first, I started what we call Kingdom Culture Network. Because one person I love so much is Miles Moreau. I don't know whether you've heard about Miles Moreau. I so much love Miles Moreau. So I started talking about kingdom. And from there, we started a church, Kingdom Culture Network. Could you believe that my wife, even though I carried her along, I carried my children along, my children were the one that typed my resignation letter, my first and second daughter. Because one thing I do is, as a father, I don't just impose my ideas or my decisions on them. I sat all of them down, told them I'm resigning, and the reason. Do you know, when I resigned, and the first day of the church, do you know my ex-wife never came? She will come and go sit at the back. And audience will come, people like, Pastor, what is happening? Why is mommy seated at the back? So I didn't know that where I was working as a pastor, they were in touch with her, discouraging her, telling her things like, since your husband left, he has left the cover, a whole lot of evil happened to you, and all of that. So based on that, whatever they were injecting into her mind, she was no more in the picture of family. My family was like hell. I was this type that I couldn't hang out. I don't hang out. I don't club. I don't smoke. I don't even take alcohol. So my family is my home. And I would come home, my home was like hell. It happened until one time I got robbed in 2018. That was before even leaving. And the next again, I got robbed in February 2018. I got robbed in December 2018 after I had left. My ex-wife was not even around. She traveled. The experience I went through, the trauma, because my children, Mr. Lucky, if you see the way I raise my children, no, people envy the way I raise my children. I so much love my children. I give them the best education. And the next thing, one day, my ex-wife said, if I am not returning back to the church I left, that I should count her out of the marriage. I said, why? As of that time, I have not left Christianity. I said, why? Number one, I married you in Assemblies of God. I didn't marry you there. Number two, I'm an adult. Before I make this decision, I carried you along. The first time I was to submit my resignation letter, I went with her. So everything, she was in the picture. She said, I must return back. I said, why? Why do you want? I painted the future I wanted to achieve. I had a business center, we run ministry business center, and everything will work well. I sold my car to buy her a better car. But she still insisted I must return back to that church. Let me tell you, Mr. Lucky. At that point, I said, okay, to please her, to retain my family, let me return back. I called the GO. I told him I want to see him. Of course, he picked my call. He was even ready to listen to me. They accepted me. They even started giving me the work I was doing for them before I left. I started doing it for them. I will attend the church. I will be restless. No peace. Sometimes I'll just be there pressing my phone. Until one day I told my ex, please, let me go. Please. And if you are insisting on divorce, no wahala, let divorce happen. And that was how the divorce started. Like I told you, I think maybe one of our podcasts, during the divorce section at the court, one of the judges told me that if I will return back to the ministry I left, this divorce will not happen. And I told them, no, nobody will blackmail me to keep my home. I was not born into that ministry. That was what happened. The painful thing was that my children that I raised started hating me. It's not like, I said, what happened? Children, Mr. Lucky, I babysitted my children. I don't know whether you got me. Asking you, I taught them how to brush. I taught them all the basic things of life. My children started hating me.
Because you left Christianity.
Because I left Christianity. My children that one day, I called my first daughter. I said, what is happening to you? He said, because I don't believe that there is God. I said, why? I had a father that was a drunk. I had a father that never really went to church. That never made me to hate my father. I am your father. You can't change that reality. And I have never introduced anything evil to you. And that's one thing I detest about Christianity. Christianity, you know, I don't know how they do that, but when you leave Christianity, they just hate you. My children, people that I helped, let me tell you a story. Some young men, you know, while you're pastoring, you see young people and you believe in them. Like, you know, people that will come tell you their story and you felt, okay, let me help you. There was a guy, my ex-wife brought him to me and said, this guy, a graduate, is not doing anything. If I could help him. Then I was in charge of production. I said, okay, I will recommend for him an employment. And I did that, but they said there's no opportunity yet. I said, okay, I'll place you on salary. I'll be giving you 5,000. You will be coming, and that was then, it's not recently. You will be coming, and your transportation, your feeding, I'll handle all of that. Do you know, until there was an opportunity, I recommended him, he was employed. He became my assistant. When I was being posted to a location to pastor, he took over as the production manager. Do you know that when I left, I called this young man. One time I was broke, I called this young man, and I needed his assistance. Do you know this guy turned me off? He never, I say, and you know his reasons? That because I'm no more under the commission, he won't have anything to do with me. Do you know also, there was my assistant pastor. These people I raised, people I taught them how to stand before the public, talk to the audience and all of that. I will call, I say, please. And, you know, at that point, let me tell you, like I said, my family was my greatest asset. I lost all of that. Court gave custody. Of course, the custody was joint custody. The children would stay with her. And as of that time, I was broke. I lost everything. So these were people I raised. You know, sometimes life is not all about money. There are people that what you contributed to their life is just a concept of or an idea. And I will call these guys, please, could you help me do this? And they'll tell you, sir, sorry. You know that you are no more with us, and it will be very difficult for me to reach out with you. And if they see me with you, oh, thank you so much. I think, okay, let me help you. If they see me with you or standing talking with you, they will report me to the headquarters, and you know the consequence. Pastors that, you know, we are friends, people that will come to my house, I will give food. People, I remember there was a pastor friend, I helped him set up his location because the location I was much bigger, so I had to give him amplifier, you know, help him so that he stand. When I resigned, I called this guy, he never picked my call. So at that point, I said, wow. And you know, for over 10 years, my community, my life was around that ministry. You know, your friends, you don't attend village meeting, you hardly make friends because it is from church to house, your house to church. You don't really make external friends. Now, this family suddenly abandoned me. Not because I was a bad person, but because I left that commission. Then I was still a Christian. When I saw all the hatred, I asked myself, Abraham, what is really happening? Why must people hate you so well, so much as if your hatred is giving them life? People that that will see me and respect me no longer respect me. People that everything now is tied to, oh, because you left the cover, because you left the cover. At that point, I told myself, this is not Christianity. And do you know, as I left, I visited, there were key churches I visited. I visited House on the Rock. I visited Koza. I visited, there's this Michael Kunkwos church in Utako. I even met with Abel Damina, you know, to share my experience and the teaching. Of course, at that point, I started gravitating towards the teaching on the kingdom, Jesus Christ as a subject. So I wasn't really teaching Moses. I don't know. I know you should know what I'm talking about. You know, people teach the law and all of that. Most of these Pentecostal pastors. But I had gravitated to a point where I started teaching about Jesus, making Jesus his finished work as a subject. So I met Abel Damina. I shared all of that with him. And Mike Okonkwo, I didn't meet him, but I met the pastor, the resident pastor there. At that point, I was in big trouble. None of these people, that is, I asked myself, Abraham, what happened? Because if you are a Christian and I am a Christian and I meet you as a brother and I share my pain with you and you know that these things are real, The way they turned their back at me as if I was cursed. Like, what happened?
Okay, maybe they believe that since you believe that God does not exist and you've left Christianity, that they didn't want to share in your misery. That maybe God was punishing you and they did not want to have a part of it.
Mr. Lucky, I had not left then. Let me shock you. You know why? They don't want to have anything to do with me because my big general overseer, they are afraid of him. If they hear that, they assisted Abraham in a particular way, he will come for them. He has his indirect way of, I don't know how he does that. But let me give you an instance. The first time I went to prison at my big oga, where I was serving before, at his instance, I went to see a pastor that left Living Faith. Now I'm Pastor Lutayo. I shared my experience with him. I mentioned his name because I just want to tell you a story. I shared my experience with him, and this pastor looked at me. He said, Abraham, your experience is similar to mine. He was telling me things that, see, Mr. Lucky, you see this Christianity in Nigeria? If you know the behind the scene, you will cry. This man shared his experience with me. I opened my mouth. He said, please go and settle with him. I can't get myself involved. And at that point, when he told me that, they were tapping my cause. That is, if I call you for an issue, they will call you and say, this person don't have anything to do with this person. I never knew. It was when the police told me that you call this person. I said, yes. They had to call that person, don't leave this person, we're on his case. So these pastors, when you leave their system, their group hates you. People just hate you for nothing. And at that point, I told myself, okay, I'm being hated because I left a denomination. And that alone was driving me to study, who is this Christ? It was at that point I saw the back door. Let me tell you why. At that point, I told myself, okay, what is the difference between these people that are Christians and the unbelievers, in quote? These people, they claim to be Christians. These people that are unbelievers, it is even the so-called unbelievers that were very close to me, that were even reaching out to me. So at that point, I knew that, look, the only thing, you see, when they talk about love of Jesus, talk about this, only exists within the pages of the Bible. And it was at that point I told them, no wahala. let me face my life myself. Do you know, Mr. Lucky, when I left Christianity, it became even more worse. There was a big pastor who mentioned his name. When I reached out to him for assistance, because I felt, he has a better understanding, a better comprehension because of the way he talked about the love of Jesus and all of that. He said, you see, he told somebody and the person told me. He said, I would have helped him, but you see, he doesn't believe in God. How can somebody do not believe in God? And do you know that even at my condition, I was helping people. Because, of course, I had my little platform. I fight for justice, for people. I was still helping people without profiling them, whether they are Christians or not. Do you know, as a result of that, I came up with a platform called anti-profiling. Because they will profile you. They don't care they don't care if you're a human being. But as long as you don't believe in God, you are evil.
What I'm curious to know, sir, is how has this experience shaped you? Since you left Christianity, how has the experience... Since you left Christianity, how has the reaction from people shaped you? Looking at the way you are dressed, I can see you have earrings. I can see big necklace. You've dyed your hair. You have multiple rings. Oh, you're planning to do a tattoo?
I'm planning to do a tattoo. My wahala is the pain, but I think mentally I'm still developing that mental strength to overcome it.
Well, why do you want to do all this to your body? Why are you forcing people to see that you're no longer a Christian anymore?
Yeah, you know why? Christians love to profile people. And I want to do things that will offend them. I love it when they feel offended. Because, you see, I knew this. Let me give you an instance. I knew of a pastor. If you see this pastor, you wouldn't believe that he could hurt a fly. This same pastor had a girlfriend. He's married though. He had a girlfriend. One day, he went to meet that girlfriend around my area. His car broke down. I was the one that rescued him because his wife started questioning, and I had to stand in for him. And if you look at church people, as a pastor, I have seen a lot. I won't give details here. So they profile a lot. So I decided to do things that will anger people, that will make people curious to see beyond the physical. Because when you see somebody the way he dressed, and you think the way you dress is the way you should be addressed, life is beyond that.
Now, I want to say something you mentioned. I have interviewed him earlier before now. And he told me that after he denounced being a pastor and he left Christianity believing that God doesn't exist, that life became really difficult for him. That people were not recommending him. What's the opposite of recommending? If he's trying to get a job or he's trying to get help, because he doesn't believe in God, nobody was interested to employ him or offer him any opportunity. That it became even very difficult for him to even make friends. He became lonely. His wife left him. He doesn't have access to his children. With all these things, the earring, the dyed beards, the two big necklaces, one has a very strange color, and these multiple ones. Sir, you are a very good looking man. And I believe that you can be the way you are without all this, trust me. Maybe you are identifying with certain people who have to look this way. And you think that because you love the ideology of life, that you also have to look like them. I would not advise you to get this tattoo. You still have years ahead of you. Now, let me say something. I'm just having a conversation. Do you understand? So, he feels like he wants to make it obvious that he's no longer there anymore. Don't you think that this is just a temporal, heightened emotion that is causing you to make permanent decisions?
Okay, I think it is not temporal. Like me, I'm a very deliberate person. Whatever I do, I'm not. Hold on, if you know me, you know I'm not an emotional person. I hardly cry. Right now, I've developed my system. I was telling you how I was able to sustain the post-divorce trauma. I was able to sustain how my children left me without indulging in alcohol, smoking, or any of these things. You know why? I developed a system where whatever is happening at the external or at the physical doesn't influence my mind.
How long do you think you can keep up with this? For now, you have no business with alcohol and smoking.
Yeah.
How sure are you going to trust yourself that the future you're about to walk into will not demand you to take this substance to maintain your sanity and your happiness in this world? Right now, a lot of people don't like you because you were once a pastor and you're no longer a pastor. So I'm worried about you.
To be honest with you, to be very honest with you, if I couldn't drink when I divorced, not now. Not even life is better now.
What are you doing at the moment?
Of course, at the moment when I had my court case in January, I lost the car I was using for both. Because like I told you, when after leaving pastoring, especially when you have built everything around pastoring, not that I can't do other things, I could, but pastoring was literally a life for 20 years. The only thing I resorted to doing was, let me have a car and I'll do my boat, make my money, and from there I'll have a studio where people come tell their story. Just like, you know, I love what you are doing and one day I want to have something like yours. And so for me, what I am now, to be honest with you, people don't influence me. I used to tell people that I'm a squad. I'm this kind of person that there's nothing, anything I see, I do. If I look at my beard one day, I remarried. Yeah, I remarried.
Oh, you're married now?
I'm married. I have a baby now. Because you see, I had to build my life. You see, one thing about me, I told people self-love is golden.
I was worried you are still lonely because loneliness is so scary.
No, I had to remarry because, and this young lady, she loved me for who I am. I told her, look, I'm not a Christian. And she does church thing. But I told her the promise we made to each other is, please let's not involve our child. He's a boy. Let's not involve him into religious activities. I want him to grow with sane mind and make his choice when he's 18. Now that is that apart. But to be honest with you, the way I'm looking, my dressing, I influence people. When I was a pastor, I was keeping hair. I was the only. I think we were just.
Okay, when you're a pastor, you used to plait your hair.
No, keeping hair, bushy hair, and with beard. But the beard wasn't as full as. No, it was full, but not painted. I remember my Geo telling me that, Abraham, this is your beard, you need to shave and all. I told him, sorry, I used to have speed bumps, and truly, if I shave, you look at it. So and you know, ironically, when I left the place, I saw the Geos. He started keeping punk, and all the pastors started keeping punk. So I said, it's possible that he was desiring to have a punk like me, because I knew he was desiring. I knew that.
The thing is, people change. But what exactly happened to this man? At a very tender age of 9, he gave his life to God.
Yeah.
He will move from place to place, preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. Everywhere he went, he stood with God. He headed different churches. He had hundreds of members. He identified with different general overseers. He held God close to himself. But right now, fast forward to 2025, he no longer believes that God exists. He's no longer a pastor. This is now his new look. What exactly has happened to this man?
Let me tell you.
If you're watching this video, I want you to please tag your pastor. I don't believe that we have to watch somebody like this and ignore them. I firmly believe that as Christians, we should come together and bring him close. Yes, we have to.
Mr. Lucky, the Christians you see don't bring people close. I need to be honest with you. I don't want to call names. Do you know, recently, I think 2 days ago, a friend that used to stand by me, sometimes when I'm broke, I'll call him, guy, please, could you assist me? This same friend had a court issue. I stood by him. I wrote petitions. I stood by him, involved our leader, Distinguished Shore. That was how he came out. Do you know, recently somebody told him that the reason why he's maybe getting broke is because he's assisting Abraham. So Christians, you see, the Christians you see, they are not Christians. And that's why I told somebody, when Christians love, they don't love because they want to love. They love because the Bible asks them to love. So their love is not natural. And to be honest with you, let me tell you, recently I've helped a whole lot of people, not by giving them money, but by standing by them when they are being oppressed. I've never profiled anybody. I didn't ask whether you're a Christian or a Muslim. I just step in, jump in. I don't even step in. So, but when you see these Christians, before they will help, I was doing Facebook Live, and somebody said, Abraham, you're a good person, but you see, my problem with you, I would have stood by you, but you don't believe in God. I was like, oh. But even if you read in the Bible, Jesus Christ encouraged you to do good to all men. Of course, you say, especially those of the household of faith. But what about, even if I'm not the household of faith, he said, love your enemies and pray for those that despitefully use you. So the Bible, like I said, is a good novel book. But every story in that book do not exist outside of that book. I can beat my chest for it. There's a big pastor that I thought, to be honest with you, when I was going through my ordeal, I thought he would stand by me. Maybe I should call his name, maybe Eldamina. I thought. And he started telling me people that because, you see, I would have stood by him, but you see, he doesn't believe in God. And you know one thing about me, I'm a very funny person. One thing about me is that my loyalty is end. One time I picked him, I attacked him so well, deliberately. I wanted to push him to the wall and see how his Christ-likeness will react. And he reacted the opposite. He blocked me on Facebook and said, oh, this man is that. So that's the kind of person I am. When people claim to be Christians, I want to see whether they are really Christians. And I push. Sometimes I will just trigger when I say, no, you are not.
But I hope you remember that people are humans first before Christians. Come close. So I feel that it is normal, it is human to want to react and defend. And sometimes you come to a state of sober reflection where you begin to think, it's just like after today is going to end, you go back home, you sit in your chair or lie on your bed, and you want to replay everything you've said, every decision you've made today. And I can tell that something will tell you there were some things I shouldn't have done. No, I'm telling you. So I'm trying to remind you that
I like you. I like you. No, I like you. You are too sure. But let me be honest with you. One thing about me is like I told you, I'm a very deliberate and conscious person. Before I say things, before I do things, I am this type of person that I'm not reactional. And that's why, like I told myself, Abraham, create a destination for yourself and activate a process and follow that process. And that's what I am doing. I choose to be a humanist because we are all humanists. We are all human beings. And one thing I do is I love natural. I care for people natural. I don't profile people. For me, if Christians should even come learn, because I have not seen Christians that truly love. I told you the other day when I was robbed, I told people that if I see the robbers, the armed robbers, I will hug them. It's not because what they did to me was right, but we are all victims of bad system. If they know better, they will act differently. So when I see Christians react, if you want to see reaction, go to my wall. You will see all kinds of insults, and I will laugh. Sometimes I will just see that I laugh. I say, Abraham, these people talking this on you, they don't even know you. You know why? Nothing, to be honest with you, you do to me that make me sad. Nothing. You know why?
And that's something to worry about. You are not designed this way. No. Let me tell you something. A lot has happened to me, and people keep saying, Lucky, grow tough skin, grow top skin. You see, there's what they call compassion fatigue. It happens to most of us. Okay? And you know that this can go a long way to affect you and your loved ones. But I hope you know that. And you see, that is not how things are supposed to be. You don't lose yourself because you are doing a job. No, or because you are doing something you believe in.
Let me tell you. When I mean nothing people do to me moves me, nothing they do to me that makes me react. To be honest with you, let me give you an instance. If you insult me now, maybe I will insult you back. That's on social media. But if I see you, I will hug you. One guy, okay, I went for a meeting one day, and I alighted at Nyanya under bridge. And this guy saw me. He said, Mr. Abraham, I never knew him. Except maybe social media, but I didn't know him. So when he called me, I was looking at him. He said, you don't know me? He called his name. I laughed. I hugged him. He said, the person I see on social media is different from this person. I said, that's life for you. So don't look at me on my platform and think, oh, this person is a bad person. You should be able to give people benefit of that. One day, when I was still doing my boat, I met one lady at National Hospital. When she saw me, she said, Abraham. And the way I greeted, how you doing? I said, so high level of empathy. You know what she said? She said, she never believed I could show her such love. I said, that's the kind of person I am. So what am I trying to say? People, and that's why I talk about profiling. Christians profile people. We have a society that profiles. But what I tell people is don't profile. Give people benefit of doubt. And that's why I see what I wear here, I call them costumes. Because my real person, you need to know me. If you don't want to know me, you can't really know me. So for you to know me, take your time to study. And it applies to everybody. I won't look at you at first value and said, oh, this is Mr. Lucky. No. Whatever you tell me about Mr. Lucky doesn't move me. I want to know Mr. Lucky. And the little time I have stayed with you, I know you are a very good person. You are just natural. I saw the way you reacted to the color you met. That's how life works. So people should be themselves, like religion or Christianity. Mr. Lucky, maybe one day you will realize. I'm not saying you will be like some of us. No. But people like you, one day you understand why some of us make the decisions we make.
Now, if you say that, let me tell you something, sir. Life is different for everyone. And the purpose of having this interview section is that I want people to understand what has happened to you. Do you understand me? That is the sole purpose of documenting your story. Not to influence people. Not to give people reasons why they should stop believing in what has shaped their life to what it is today. Do you understand? Some people have come a long way already. This is not the point where we can start trying to do that. It's their choice. But we are documenting your story. You came to this world under a family, within a certain culture, in a particular state here in Nigeria. You've lived your life across making different decisions, and somehow you've ended up here. What we are documenting is what exactly happened to you. You've talked about the corruption in church. You've talked about so many bad experiences you had as a pastor, and all this has shaped you into becoming the person you are. But a lot of people do not understand this properly. This moment is for you to let people know why people see you the way they do now. Why you dress the way you dress. Why you talk the way you talk. Lucky Experience is a platform where people come to tell their story in a way that people can understand them. There used to be a girl on social media that would drag everybody. Her name is Esther Sky. She does that for clout. And she went to a platform known as Honest Bunch Podcast, where she was influenced to say that she has slept with more than 3,000 men. Beyond that video, I saw a girl who doesn't understand her identity yet. So she reached out that she wanted to be on the Lucky Udo experience. And when she came, we gave her a platform to tell a story nobody have ever heard about. All people have ever known her is somebody who makes videos that are very annoying and irritating. Because she calls people out, she chases clout, she can make a video dragging Davido, very dark man, and so many other people. She does this for attention. But people don't know the real thing behind why she behaves the way she does. And when I sat with her down to have an interview section, she revealed how she came from a dysfunctional family. If you listen to that girl's story, you understand why she lives the way she does. She never had any opportunity. Her life was shaped in a certain way from her roots. That is what we are doing at the Lucky Udo experience. A lot of people don't understand you so well, and you don't even see where you are going to. But one day this video is going to speak for you, trust me. Somebody is going to fall in love with you, but we don't understand why people are telling them strange things about you. This video is going to help them understand why you've ended up the way you've done. Opportunities will come. But I'm not trying to tell you to say things that are not true. What I want to document, I'm not trying to put you as a very strong person who will boldly come out and say this and that. No, this is that moment where you become vulnerable and express things how it is. If at some point the load you carried as a pastor, leadership, as a spiritual leader was too heavy for you, that nobody came to pat you on your back, and that was why things happened this way, you say it. If it was because of some of the too many corruptions, you just take your time and express everything. I don't know if you understand me. So, do you understand me? So these are those things that we are trying to document. I want people to understand why this man left Christianity after 20 years of being a pastor. And, with the way things are going for him, I really don't like the fact that you don't even have access to your children, and now a lot of people on social media insult you, say a lot of things because of your ideas that you are holding so strong. Do you understand me? So this moment is for documenting the story. Do you understand me? You were a pastor for more than 20 years, but now you no longer believe that God exists. You say that there were some stories in the Bible that doesn't make sense outside of the Bible. What are some of those stories?
You see, like I think earlier I was talking about creation. If you look at creation, every creator should be responsible for his creature. If you look at the concept of creation, it doesn't look like the creator was responsible. Number two, if you look at the story, the concept of Jesus Christ, his death, why he came to die. He came to die for our sins. And you ask yourself, I never committed any sin. You'll be told the sins of Adam. And you ask yourself, why didn't God punish Adam as it were? And why will it be carried over to me? You see, some of these stories and narratives have a psychological effect on people, that it keeps them on a particular scale and level, that they keep asking for forgiveness perpetually. And when I saw all of that, I said, no, it doesn't help people to think well. And that's why, for me, at that point, I knew that, no, if Jesus were to die for our sin, why couldn't God kill Satan, that was the chief actor or initiator of the concept of sin? And why would God throw Satan from heaven to the earth instead of dealing with the guy so that the earth will be sane? So when I look at all of this, I couldn't see responsibility. I could see someone that was abdicating his responsibility for humanity, and I felt, no, this can't be the creator. Because if I, as a father, Even though my children are not with me, I still love them. I still love them. Recently, somebody told me your daughter, one of your daughter, denounced you that you're no more her father. It doesn't change anything.
Your daughter denounced
I'm telling you, they told me that. And when I heard that, to be honest with you,
How old is she?
I think she should be 20 now.
And this is a daughter you carried with your own.
I said, my first daughter, man. I so much love this girl. And you know one thing that made me laugh? When I was in detention on her birthday, you know how children reach out to their father. She reached out to the GO I was with. And this GO invited my daughter. And they took pictures and made videos publicly for the world to see. And that same week, he was putting me in prison. But look, one thing about me is that when they showed me the video, within 24 hours, I was pained. Yes, as a father.
You cry?
No, I didn't cry. But at night, I was just rejuvenating. How I trained this child, how I brought up this child. Never exposed this child to something bad. I taught this child life. And suddenly this child decided to choose that path. But after a while, I concluded. You know what I told myself? You cannot fight for what is yours. What is yours will naturally return back to you. So one day, if she comes, fine. I love her. So that's me for you. So for me, like I told you, for instance, if I were that pastor that child reached out to, because according to him, they said he reached out to him that said, oh, you're my daddy, pray for me. I would tell her, today's your birthday, go meet your father. And that's what church should do. Church should build family and home, but this church, they derive pleasure in destroying homes so that it will validate their message and validate what they claim they call spiritual cover. So for me, I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad. And these are some of the things that made me to leave Christianity. For me, Christianity, with due respect to Christians, yes, I still have good Christian friends, but with due respect to them, Christianity is an illusion. Truly is an illusion.
I have a question for pastors. If you know any pastor who loves Jesus so much, please tag them to this video. This man was a pastor for more than 20 years. At the age of 9, he started preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. But right now, he no longer believes that God exists. And ever since he made that decision and he denounced being a pastor, a lot of Christians hate him. He has lost his wife. He just went through a divorce, and his 5 children, he no longer have access to him. In fact, a general overseer, although I don't know what transpired between him and that general overseer, sent him to prison, and on his daughter's birthday, a daughter that he gave birth to, a daughter that peed on his body countless times, that he sowed and sweat and labored to feed and raise, went to the general overseer and said that general overseer is now her new father, and that he's denouncing this his father because he left Christianity. The question I want to ask is that, can people live a normal life outside religion? If somebody says that they are no longer Christians, is it fair that Christians will now begin to fight that person? And it doesn't seem like anybody's really interested to know what happened to this man and why he's the way he is. Please, if you know any pastor who truly loves Jesus and you are very confident that that person can answer this question, tag them to this video. Is it fair that somebody who is no longer a Christian should be treated this way? After he denounced Christ, people don't want to give him jobs. Everybody that he was once friends with, they no longer pick his calls. People don't want to extend opportunities to him. They told him that he's going to suffer as long as he believes that God does not exist. And right now, he somehow feels alone. So I want to ask somebody that truly knows Jesus, what is something you like to tell this man? In this state he is right now, will you ignore him? Or do you think you have something to say to him that can help redirect his path? Please let me know in the comment section, or you can do a video reacting to this man's situation. Because right now, he's one of the most hated persons in Nigeria for denouncing being a pastor and leaving Christianity. Can people live a life outside religion? Can somebody decide that, okay, I don't want to believe anymore? in any of the religions we have in this world. I just want to go through life without thinking that maybe God exists somewhere. But I will promise not to do evil, and I will do good wherever I can. But I don't want to have this idea that God exists somewhere. He has his own personal experience, which the video is on YouTube. You can go watch it. He said that he experienced a lot of corruption in church. He doesn't understand why people will suffer unnecessarily if truly God loves everyone. So please, this moment, if any pastor can address this, not because you want to satisfy every question this man has, but because you have a message to him. Maybe an elderly pastor who have also had moments like this. Please let me know. I also want to understand something. Those of you that are pastors, please, I want to ask a question. Have you ever had a moment in your life where you began to doubt if truly God existed or not? This man was once a pastor. He served for 20 years and he started at the age of 9. But today he no longer believes that God exists anymore. He has so many questions to ask and he doesn't understand why life is the way it is. I want to ask if there are pastors out there that have had similar experiences where maybe God kept quiet in moments where he should have at least said something. Please let me know, because if you keep something like that to yourself, you are not going to help people like this who want to hear from you. Anyways, a staff of mine sent me a message that I'm going to read to him, because a lot of people are losing their faith as Christians simply because they expected God to say something, but he never said anything. So a staff sent this message to me when some people came on social media to make false accusations against me. And she saw how it was breaking me. And she sent me several messages every morning, but this is the particular one that I want to read. He said, "Boss, this is to remind you that even if you can't feel it, God is with you. He's present. He sees your pains and your struggles. And if you let him, he will comfort you. God has a track record of keeping quiet in moments like this. You even begin to doubt his existence at some point, and he has been this way millions of years before we were born. Job, for example, was a faithful servant of God, yet he languished in affliction for several years. How about the children of Israel that spent 40 years in slavery, all the while they had a God they never stopped worshiping or calling? Joseph, on the other hand, was locked up in prison for 12 years for a crime he never committed, and during that time he never stopped calling God. Boss, I know you have lots of questions you want to ask, but the honest truth is that God is not going to answer any of it. I don't know why. Maybe because he's an unquestionable God. I don't know. But God has a history of keeping quiet in this kind of moment. If you are a pastor watching this right now, have you also had a moment in your life where you began to doubt if truly God exists or not? Please let me know. Because, a lot of Christians are going through extreme hardship. Some of them are facing unfair situations. And in moments like this, because of the love they have for God and all that they believe about him, they expect him to show up for them. But somehow their expectations has not been met. And they are beginning to doubt if truly what they believe is real or not. Especially that this religion is a religion of faith. What do you have to say in a situation like this? Because using this man as a case study, he no longer believes that God exists anymore. And for 20 years, he was a pastor. Do we ignore him? Or do we use his story and his situation to address something bigger? Because I'm sure there are so many people out there with similar stories, but unfortunately, nobody's talking about them. And if you have been somebody who never believed God exists, but right now you believe that God exists, please reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to hear your story. Thank you. Sir, you were a pastor for more than 20 years. What are some of those difficult things that pastors go through that the public don't know?
A lot. As a pastor, I remember when, if you are starting a ministry, for instance, you are posted to a location. You have to struggle with how to move your family from your previous location to the new location. And if you have children at school, or maybe your wife is working, wife have to retire, maybe to join you. I remember a particular man, a particular pastor, his wife was working with a very good federal parastatal, but the pressure was on him for his wife to resign from where she's working to join him. So pastors go through a lot. And another thing you look at is, how do pastors' children adapt to, that pastor's children? A whole lot is expected. There's where you have to, there's a place pastors' children have to be. There's a place pastors' children. People expect pastors' children to be very, very perfect. Pastors' family to be very, very perfect. So that put a whole lot of pastors under pressure. Sometimes cosmetic life. Pastors have to pretend. Even when things are not going well, pastors have to pretend and show to their members that things are going well. And for instance, there's this general slogan that pastors don't share their pains with their members. So if a pastor is going through any difficulty, you don't need to discuss it with church members. If not, they have that belief or perception that it will affect the faith of the church members. So pastors are left, they will just be dying slowly. Let me tell you my personal story. In 2015, I had, we usually do regular fasting, sometimes 7 days dry, 3 days dry, and I had this ulcer. And I never managed it well until it developed to panic attack. I remember it was on Saturday evening, I was preparing for service, and I nearly collapsed. Now, at that point, I was rushed to the hospital. That week, I did not preach, but the next week, I was preaching. I'll be preaching, and at the same time, I'll be struggling with my breath. Nobody knew except maybe my wife on the altar, or maybe my assistant pastor that is close to me. In my office, I have honey, I have tablets that I have to take that will keep me standing, because I have to preach 5 times on Sunday. That's 5 services. And you have to stand out through, you have to officiate a whole lot. After service, you still attend to people. So at the end of the day, the pastor is literally exhausted. And ironically, people are still coming. You can preach 5 times. Even if you want to preach 6 times, people still come for counseling. Pastor, pray for me. Pastor, pray for me. If you hold 10-hour service. At the end of the service, people will still come to you. Nobody cares whether this pastor go through pain, whether this pastor has paid his bill, whether this pastor is even eating, whether this pastor is healthy. All they want is, you have the anointing, come and deliver it to us. So pastors go through a lot. Let me give you a particular instance. There are pastors that they even have a marital issue. The wife, sometimes they battle themselves, but when it comes to the altar, it has to pretend. And that's why most pastors, they die slowly. And that's why at the end of the ministry, most times pastors don't have a life. Let me give you another example. Most pastors, when they go into ministry, the relationship between the external world, like family members, friends, community, they are literally cut off. So they are left with, especially when you are working under a commission or a big church, you don't even have a life. Now, if by any means or by any error you are fired from that organization, you are literally gone. Because everything about you is around that organization. Your friends, your pals, everything. And let me shock you. They will tell you disengagement package. Maybe you have served for 10 years, 15 years. They are giving you 1.5 million. What can 1.5 million do? And if you are not careful, they will ask you to leave the pastor's residence. I remember one time there was a ministry I worked. I was asked to leave, and they gave me 2 days to leave the pastor's residence. To where? That's a place you've spent most of your days and your life. To where? Where are you living there to? So pastors, for me, they go through a lot. And that's why the concept of that geo thing, and of course, church members don't even value resident pastors. No matter who you are, no matter how anointed you are, they think that the geo at the headquarters is more important and more relevant than you. You have church members in your location sending dollars to the geo and abandon you here. They see you like you are a boy, like you don't have, your anointing cannot give them the billion they expect. So, I remember I had this big man in the church I was pastoring, and he needed to dedicate a big factory he set up. When we were doing the opening, There were grasses everywhere. He invited me to do the opening. But when he finished it and everything was doing so well, he had to invite a big GO to come and commission it. To him, I don't have the anointing or the power, that he's expecting, to commission such. So, resident pastors, I tell you, most of them go through hell. And to be honest with you, and that's why, if you look at especially Africa, you look at young people into ministry, most of them want to break away and start their own. Because after you have served somebody for 10, 15, 20 years, at that point, somebody will tell you, I sack you. To where? Or somebody will feel threatened by your growth, and the next thing, that will create policies that will retire you. At least in Nigeria, we've heard stories of people that have served, for a very long time, and at the end of the day, the concoct policy that push them away. To where? And if you are not careful, and if you don't have the stamina to withstand it, the next thing, you begin to go down with stroke, go down with depression. I knew of a pastor that died of depression. He was literally in coma for days before he died. I knew of a pastor that when he left, life became so terrible for him. He couldn't send children to school. And you see, when you call church members to tell them, please, could you assist me? It looked like you are not anointed enough, and that's why things are not working for you. So for me, the life of a pastor is literally a cosmetic life, a hypocritical life, a life that is not real. Because if you show yourself how real you are to your people, I tell you, because of the perception of how Pentecostalism works in Africa, they'll tell you that you are not anointed. That's why you could cry. That's why you could go hungry. That is why you couldn't pay your children's school fees. That is why you even fall sick. Pastors have to secretly take drugs to just stay, alive to preach. Because if you tell members that you take drugs, some of them may not even come to church again. So it's really, really terrible. Terrible.
Wow, this is really shocking. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't see this reality, or they don't want to accept it. People expect so much from pastors. When they see a pastor driving a nice car, they begin to think that is not okay, that a pastor should not have a good life. I think the public expect to see pastors poor and in certain situations, and that is really unkind. Now, I'm curious to know, you're talking about pastors that are being sent from one location to another, resident pastors. What are the qualifications for a pastor to be employed? You also talked about sacking. Is it that somebody just needs to understand the Bible, or they have to have a certain certificate or degree?
Yes, it depends on commission, but some of the commissions I've passed through, what they do is proximity can earn you to become a pastor. For instance, you've been there from the foundation, how you saw how the ministry started, you went through their, the foundation class, and maybe they have also what they call newcomers class, and maybe what they call believers class, or maybe maturity class, and from there progressively maybe you go through their Bible school, and maybe you're always there when the pastor is in his office. You're always there running around, going out for evangelism with projector. That proximity can earn you to become a pastor. I've seen a whole lot of people by proximity, because they are always there. Before you know, they are taking opening prayer. Before you know, they are taking word charge. Before you know, the pastor says, well, this guy has been here, and there's this word they use. He has been drinking from the unction, so he could be sent out. Another way is by qualification. Of course, before now, they were looking at basic qualification like school start, but the church thing, they are adding a whole lot of class, and everybody have to be very accurate. No bad English, or your grammar must be very accurate. So they've started employing graduates, and in doing that, of course, they have to interview you. Yes, I remember when I was received as a pastor, we had to go through series of interview, and beside the interview now, they had to take you through what they call baptism. Sometimes 3 days dry, 4 days dry, 6 days dry, fasting and prayer. So at the end of the day, of course, don't forget, you would have gone through their either foundation class, believers class, and all of that. You would have gone through their Bible school, which is constant. Now, at the end of the day, with that your qualification and with all the series of interviews, you become a pastor. And another is connection. if you are connected to the GO, or the GO's wife or the admin, there's a way they smuggle you in, and they'll tell you to apply. People apply application to become a resident pastor. So they give you conditions, and some people give target that if we make you a pastor in this commission or in this church, within a particular time, you would have grown this church from either 100 to 500 members. If you can't, you'll be sacked. So people come under pressure. I remember a young boy that was employed like that, and they sent them out and they gave them target. So you have to do anything. And the guy was talking to me. You have to literally use bait, use anything to bring people to church. So like in one of our interviews, I was telling you, the most important thing to any GO is church attendance and church offering. They don't really care whether souls are saved, whether people's lives are being imparted, or whether they are really preaching the gospel of Christ. For me, even though I'm an ex-Christian, the message that should make impact and transform society should be the gospel of Christ, not even the gospel of Moses. But most of these Pentecostal pastors, they indulge in preaching Moses because the law, tithes and offering. These are the things they don't really talk about, the day-to-day, how to love your neighbor, how to build community, and how to build a great life. And like you talked about pastors being sacked, yes, pastors can be sacked for anything, as trivial as maybe you are not greeting GO or the admin, or maybe they will think you are not submissive enough, or maybe you are not anointed enough. I remember a particular pastor that came in. If I tell you this, it will shock you. I remember a reverend father. That, for me, was one of the story that will ever remain with me till I die. This guy, a reverend father, and he was coming around this church, and the GO, talked to him until this reverend father was the reverend father, and became a pastor. And of course, he was received, assignments were given to him, until at one point he had issue, he was sacked. I think if I'm very sure, he lost his marriage. When I heard that, of course I knew the person, I felt so pained. If this guy was still with the Catholic Church doing his reverend fathership, maybe that wouldn't have happened. But so you employ pastors and you sack them. The GO is unsackable, but any pastor that is employed under him could be sacked. So most times, the church system for me is more corrupt than even the political system and the civil service system, because a pastor, the GO can wake up overnight and sack you, and there's nothing. I remember a pastor that was sacked because he couldn't speak good English, and I told myself, I've never seen where good or maybe well-spoken English has become a criteria for salvation. If you look at the early disciples, the Bible said that they were unlearned people, but they saw that they have been with Christ. So when you have a system where everything is cosmetic, like Hollywood, everything must be perfect. So a pastor, the pastor may not be able to speak good English, but the pastor may have good public relation, or that normal human relation. So the pastor was sacked. He was sacked, and it was so embarrassing because that young man, I knew him because, of course, when he got sacked, he spoke with me. He told me how he pioneered most of the location and branches they opened. In terms of evangelism, house to house. There are people that may not be good in this spoken English, but they are good in writing. They may not be good in spoken English, but they are good in relating with people, connecting family, bringing people to church. So pastors get hired and fired, and that's the most terrible thing and disgusting thing I've seen, because how do you fire a pastor? And courtesy of the Pentecostal system we run, the Pentecostal system for me is one of the most destructive Christian system that happened to the Christendom.
Okay, now you said something about pastors meeting certain targets for them to sustain their position in a certain church. You say that if a pastor is unable to maintain a certain number of persons in his church or meet a certain target of persons in the church, that will be fired. And this has caused them to do anything possible to attract members to their church. We've seen so many criticism about pastors on social media that some pastors are not preaching the real gospel. They are preaching only what people are interested in. Do you think these are some of the reasons pastors have changed their gospel just to attract people to church?
Of course. What do you expect? People have to, pastors turn motivational speakers, they can just bring anything, any musician, anybody. I think sometimes, some years ago, we saw where a particular actor, I think that happened in the US, a particular actor was brought into the church and he was laying his hand on a bishop. If you look at the gospel that is preached now, it's a gospel that makes people happy. If you look at the way the pastors are after numbers, one time, if you know what, padding, INEC and padding, church padding is more terrible than INEC padding. Do you know church attendance? Let me tell you a story. I remember I had this pastor. We are all pastors in the same church, but he was in charge of counting department. So all the counting, the numbers, you have to submit it to the GO. So one day, some Sunday the number will shoot up. Some Sunday the number will go down. So this particular Sunday, the number went down, and this guy was depressed. He said, "How do I tell GO that the number dropped from maybe 20,000 people to 15,000 people?" So what they do is to technically just maybe look at this crowd and say, "This one is 10,000 people." You have to pad, because there are GO that are number driven. So if you tell your GO that the number has dropped, he could fire you. So these GOs, if you hear the messages they preach, for me, there are churches, honestly, even if I were a Christian, I wouldn't attend. One major pastor I've enjoyed is somebody like Miles Moreau. Even though I was in another ministry, I was eating Miles Moreau's materials. Another pastor I could be comfortable to some extent is Abel Damina. You see, the messages and Salman, messages that deals with Christ, his personality, his nature. The early church, a template for growth. But in this time, it's number. If I remember one pastor told us, we're having pastors meeting, and our GO told us, look at that person, how many attenders, his gallery is empty, he's struggling. So they use number as criteria, so they can preach anything. Sometimes when I listen to, if I'm passing by and I hear some music, like, is that a church? And that's why I humorously told somebody, if you're inviting me to a church, 1 hour is 20,000, because I know how much these pastors are making. So you can't just invite me to a church and waste my time, because these guys are saying nothing. What they are doing and saying do not have impact in the society. And that is why, check it, the most religious society presently is the most poorest society. Why? Or the most Christian society is the most poorest and backward society. Why? Because these messages this guy preach do not have transformation power. So for me, they just need to say something that will bring more money, bring the rich guys. And that's why if you watch all these churches, let a governor walks in, let an honorable member walks in, let a senator walks in. I told them while I was pastoring, I said, if Jesus walked into this church now, how many of you will recognize him? That is because the picture of Jesus being painted, when you read the gospel, if he walks into a church now, how do you think he will look? What do you think? He will look like Otedola or Dangote? He will look unassuming. Maybe he may even be that cleaner that, or maybe that dirty guy everybody will push aside. So pastors, for me now, these guys are just hustlers. Right? They love the money and they love the number. So money and numbers for them is a yes. So the gospel of Jesus can go and wait somewhere. And for me, they don't believe in what they are. They don't even believe in the gospel of Jesus. If Jesus were to be alive now, they would be teaching him how to preach. Did that shock you? But it's true. People think, oh, Abraham, you left, and when you left, you were preaching, giving, and offering. No, I was very deep in the Christ message, because even though I was in a big commission or with somebody, I knew that that message is not transforming people. Activities does not equal transformation. We just keep sometimes you keep increasing activities. Okay, let's run 10 services. Let's run 15 services. That doesn't change people. Or let's keep them busy Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That doesn't change people. You can have just one sitting or one day meeting, and people could be transformed for a whole day. While we were growing up, we had you heard messages that people preach, and after the pastor left, people head onto the platform, the church, and decided not to leave because they were soaked with the message, and their heart got pricked by the message, and they were looking for revival. So, but what you see here now is money, 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 and more money.
Wow, it is well. May God help everybody. I cannot exactly tell if this is the reality for every church, but Mr. Abraham is sharing his own experience as somebody who served in the church for 20 years. If this is exactly what it is, then I don't even have anything to say about it. I only hope that, at the end of the day, these people wake up to realize the truth and the Holy Spirit touch their hearts to do things right. I don't know why, the church would have to set standards like this to sustain. I am not involved, and I cannot entirely tell why they have to live this way. Maybe there's something I don't know. And if you are somebody who understands the behind the scenes of how churches survive, please reach out to me. I would love to hear from you, because this is an opportunity for people to also learn. I believe that Mr. Abraham is sharing his own perspective with his limited knowledge, and based on his entire experience serving in church. If there is something that he doesn't know well, I'll be very interested to hear from you. And Mr. Abraham, you've said a lot of things, and I really don't know what to say to you. But if you're watching this video and God has laid it in your heart somewhere to speak to Mr. Abraham, you can reach out to him on Instagram. What's your Instagram?
Okay, Instagram number, account, sorry. I think I need to check that, but Facebook is Abraham Daniel. Daniel. Facebook is Abraham Daniel. So whatever I post on Facebook, automatically.
You have an email?
Yes. It's blessedthan15 at blessedthan152014 at gmail.com.
Less than DAN.
Blessed, like blessed, EDAN 152014 at gmail.com.
That's confusing. I hope you don't send it to the wrong person, except the editor will put it on the screen. But I'm only creating this avenue because I believe that nobody knows, maybe in 2 years' time, somebody who is destined for this moment would want to speak to you. Do you understand? I don't want to believe that this is how your life is going to end. You've had your painful experience and you've come to this point, which is totally okay. You are just a human. I believe that God loves you and He understands you. Is there someone out there who can actually speak to this man? I don't know what to say because I'm still a young person. I don't know so much about Christianity, my own religion. I am still learning from people's experience, from the Bible, from the teachings, from spiritual leaders, and a lot. So thank you so much, Mr. Abraham. If you have questions you love to ask, indicate it in the comment section, and maybe I can invite him again. We'll be able to satisfy your curiosity. Thank you for watching this episode of the Lucky Udo Experience. The audio version will be uploaded on Spotify, so go to Spotify, search Lucky Udo Experience so you don't miss our next upload. And please help us to build this platform. Invite your friends, your family, share it to groups. If you have a TikTok account, social media account, you can react to your favorite episode of the Lucky Udo Experience. Let people know about the videos being posted on this platform. We are working hard every day, I and my team, trying to look for the next story to tell, the next person to interview, and it's a lot of work. So please continue to support this platform so we keep the stories we tell alive and we are able to sustain. God bless you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'm Mr. Abraham. Let's tell them goodbye. Bye.